What would it look like for you to trust the Lord without wavering today? That's what we're going to talk about as we look at Psalm 26. Welcome to From the Overflow. I'm Stacey Edwards, and we are continuing our series on overflowing encouragement from the Psalms. So I hope you have your coffee, your Bible, and a few minutes to spend with the Lord today. We're going to read Psalm 26 together. David wrote, "Vindicate me, O Lord, for I have walked in my integrity, and I have trusted in the Lord without wavering. Prove me, O Lord, and try me. Test my heart and my mind. For your steadfast love is before my eyes, and I walk in your faithfulness. I do not sit with men of falsehood, nor do I consort with the hypocrites. I hate the assembly of the evildoers, and I will not sit with the wicked. I wash my hands in innocence and go around your altar, O Lord, proclaiming thanksgiving aloud and telling all your wondrous deeds. O Lord, I love the habitation of your house and the place where your glory dwells. Do not sweep my soul away with sinners, nor my life with bloodthirsty men, in whose hands are evil devices and whose right hands are full of bribes. But as for me, I shall walk in my integrity. Redeem me and be gracious to me. My foot stands on level ground. In the great assembly, I will bless the Lord." I love this psalm so much because David finds himself amongst people who do not live for the Lord. And he makes it his goal to trust without wavering, to remain faithful, to remain steadfast in his commitment to God. So what I want us to see is the very first verse, I have walked in my integrity. So his actions were actions of integrity. And I've trusted in the Lord without wavering. Those are his attitudes, his inward things. So we talked about this before, but attitudes and actions matter. It has to be Jesus where nobody can see and Jesus where everybody can see. Our inside has to match the outside. So David's actions and his attitudes were in sync. Second, he says, verse 3, your steadfast love is before my eyes. So he's focused. We talked about this yesterday, that we have to fix our eyes on Jesus. So he says, your steadfast love is before my eyes. That's what I'm focused on. And I walk in faithfulness. So I'm focused and I'm faithful. Okay. So we have David with the correct actions and attitudes, and then we have him being focused and faithful. Then he says, I do not sit with men of falsehood, hypocrites, evildoers, or the wicked. So he avoids these people. He avoided the liar, the hypocrite, the evildoer, the wicked. He did not associate with them. Sometimes we have to separate ourselves. It's hard to not be one of the crowd. It's hard to be this lone person off to the side. But that's what God has called us to. We are called to be holy. And holy doesn't mean perfect, but it means set apart. We are called to be different. So David said, I'm doing that. I'm doing the thing. I'm avoiding all of that. And I love that he talks about the sinners and the bloodthirsty men, those who take bribes and plan evil. And in verse 11, he says, this is how they're living. But as for me, I shall walk in my integrity. So he's acknowledging that it's not maybe the common way to live, that it might make him look different, but it's a choice he makes. But as for me, and I think that's really what it comes down to when it comes to walking a life of faith and what it would look like for us to trust without wavering. It's that willingness to be different, that willingness to set apart, to remove yourself from conversations, from groups, from tables where you don't belong. So that's what David is saying. And I love that he's reminding the Lord, maybe himself, that he's been living the thing out. In verse 1, he says, I've walked in my integrity. In verse 3, I walk in faithfulness. In verse 11, I walk in my integrity. In verse 12, he says, my foot stands on level ground. So he is living out his faith, and he's avoiding those people that would maybe try to pull him astray. So, and then I love in verse 6 and 7, he talks about washing his hands in innocence, proclaiming thanksgiving aloud, and telling all his wondrous deeds. So that is thanksgiving and testimony. So part of trusting in the Lord and living out our faith is stories of thanksgiving, gratitude, and then our testimony. And I think a lot of us struggle with testimony of telling the wondrous deeds. A great example, if you've ever thought, I wouldn't know where to begin, or I don't know how to share my testimony. If you look at the woman with the issue of blood in the Gospels, when Jesus calls her forward, and it says that in the presence of everyone, she explained what Jesus had done for her and how she had been healed. So all testimony is, it's our history, where we were, plus our healing, where we are now, and how Jesus is the gap between, right? So history plus healing. That's your testimony. We don't need to overthink it. We don't need to make it super complicated. Where were you when you met Jesus, and where are you now that Jesus has changed you? That's your testimony. So David said, I will proclaim thanksgiving and I will tell your wondrous deeds. So I will be thankful and I will share my testimony. So I hope that brings you some encouragement today on how you too can live a life of trust without wavering in the Lord. I love you so much. And tomorrow we're going to look at Psalm 27. Have a good day. Bye-bye.